TV.
Welcome back to Doctor Who Too Hot for TV. We are the podcast that looks at all things Doctor Who Extended Universe. I'm bored of doing that. I tried to do the little rhyming things and things. I'm bored of them. So everybody knows the gist right now.
Yeah, we know each other.
We know each other.
You're
we
Dylan.
know Doctor Who. I'm Dylan, yes. Who are you?
Jack.
Jack, the social media manager of Doctor Who Too Hot for TV. I suddenly realised this the other day, Jack, that I was speaking to somebody on Instagram and they were like, oh, I sent you a thing on Twitter or I tweeted you about something. And they thought they were tweeting me, but they were actually tweeting you.
Oh.
Because so people interact thinking, not everybody, some people are smart, but so for everybody out there, this is exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Inside baseball, as the Americans call it. The Too Hot for TV Twitter page is run by Jack.
Yes. I think that's because I would like to be anonymous on Twitter, but I am thinking of setting up my own Twitter account now.
Are you?
Yeah.
What are you going to do on it?
I'm going to use it how I use Instagram, which is I just post interesting things that I'm looking at or reading or have watched and stuff like that.
So it's not going to be Doctor Who related?
Potentially not, but I am going on the basis that Doctor Who fans have other interests.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to throw that out there.
They like Blake Seven.
Yeah.
And Inside Number 9. Those are the three shows that Doctor Who fans watch.
Yeah. God, I see people tweeting about that, and I think, should I get back into that show? But that show lost me ages ago. We're going to do Inside Number 9 today, because we're not going to do Dalek Empire, but that's on their final series, and I think that's a good idea, because I think they're exhausted.
I do as well. I loved the first few series. Let's see, look at us with our other interests. I also do episodes of a podcast called Strangers in Space, which is a bunch of Doctor Who fans talking about Doctor Who and other things that aren't Doctor Who. And at Christmas, they did an episode on Christmas TV and slagged off Inside Number 9. And Rhys Shearsmith listened to it and tweeted them and slagged them off.
Yeah. Well, he's a sensitive man. I think I like them as creators and as people. I just think their format means that they actually do the same thing every week, even though it's an anthology show. Yeah. I think, what is it, a half an hour episode? With them in it, with a twist in it, actually gets quite repetitive, even though they change the cast and do odd things, that most of them are actually the same story.
Yeah, I think they're constrained by the format as well.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Rhys? Yeah? Come on, lad.
He really peaked when he was in the first Auton film, didn't he? And then since then, it's just been downhill. Yeah. But we're not here to talk about that, are we?
No.
Look at us diversifying the podcast. We're here to talk about Dalek Empire season or series?
Series 2.
Series 2. We did Series 1 a few months back, and here we are. So last time we recorded, we were about to watch The Power of the Doctor and made some predictions about the episode. Some came true and others didn't. But since then, Jack, have you had much Doctor Who in your life?
Only what I've consumed for this podcast. I haven't watched Doctor Who for a long time.
It's not on the telly, is it?
No, but I haven't watched any, old episodes.
I see.
No
Meglos?
No Meglos. No, nothing. All I'm doing is looking at pictures of Shooty in different wigs and different outfits and going, ooh, well, this is exciting.
It is exciting. And we'll talk a little bit about the future of Doctor Who at the end of the podcast, I think.
Yeah.
Just because this is the last episode of this series. We'll be back in a few months' time. But, just go forward in all your beliefs and all that. Yeah. And our destiny is in the stars. So we'll talk about the future of Doctor Who after that. Now, Doctor Who, Dalek War, Chapter 1, because this is in chapters, was released in January 2003. This was the year of the new series announcement. We talked last time a little bit about what we thought of the Daleks in the classic series, and since the new series is 18 months away here. What do we think of the use of the Daleks in the new series?
My biggest surprise when they came back was how traditional they were. I because I'd been through the TV movie and all the proposed films, I was like, well, of course they're going to be spider Daleks. And then I was like, what? They're just doing it how they were, but a bit more bronze.
Yeah.
But overall, I really like the Daleks in the new series. I think there's very few... Well, actually, I was going to say there's very few bad Dalek stories, but that's a lie, because there's so many stories in which the Daleks just appear as little cameos.
But we think that's a contractual thing. We think the Daleks have to appear every year as part of their licensing deal. This is what people have always said. Who knows whether it's true? Yeah,
and my only criticism would be that feature of the new series means that you don't get long gaps and then a sudden it's the Daleks, whoa, kind of a moment. You know, you don't get like an earth shock type moment because these and you know the Cybermen pop up in different episodes as well.
Yeah,
I mean they brought the Daleks back and they brought back a Cyberhead in the same episode, and then you get the Cybermen and the Daleks have kind of appeared in the same episodes to show all of the villains united. That I think that can take away from some of the enjoyment, but maybe if you're 6, you don't give a fuck.
No, this is the thing. I think if you're a kid, you just want Daleks all of the time.
Yeah.
Whereas it's kind of diminishing returns, as a lot of Doctor Who baddies are. Of like, oh, well, here are the biggest threat, but they're going to get defeated again. I think, broadly speaking, they're handled well in the RTD era. I don't think Moffat really gives a shit about Daleks. Like, if you think about his era, Asylum of the Daleks isn't really about Daleks. It's about the sort of... you know, the surprise cameo of the Osgood story in there. It's about that story. Into the Dalek is, of course, a Dalek story, but not your most traditional one. The Magician's Apprentice, that's a Davros story.
Yeah.
It's like, he doesn't do... But you get Victory of the Daleks at the start, but nobody talks about Victory of the Daleks, because... And then Chibnall, I think Chibnall really gets the Daleks, and he does try and do new and interesting things with them, and I think... those are some of his most successful episodes in his series. Yeah,
I think Resolution was the best Dalek story since Parting of the Ways, maybe. I can't think what else there's been that is... Matt Smith... Yeah, no...
Matt Smith doesn't do a lot of Daleks.
No.
They're there all the time.
Yeah.
But Victory is like his big Dalek story, but I can't think of him... Oh, and Asylum later on, but I don't think he's got like a big...
Well, it's funny you say that, since 3 episodes into Matt Smith's era, they wanted to redesign the Daleks and have them as this new menacing force, and then...
failed.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
But, Series 1 and in Chibnall's era, I don't think they've been bettered.
No, I agree. As I said, this was January 2003. Shada was announced as being made as a webcast. Speculation was rife that Tom Baker would take over as Dumbledore after the death of Richard Harris in Harry Potter. Do you think that would have been wise?
Well... The thing is that Dumbledore is gay, so that would imply Tom Baker playing a gay wizard. Interesting.
Can you see that?
No, not at all. He's a pickled old man.
He's a pickled old man. No, I don't think that would have been good casting. Otherwise, Charmaine May, who you obviously remember from the BBV Winterborn DVDs, had just died.
Yeah.
The comic strip going was the 8th Doctor story, Oblivion. Out on VHS was the W.H. Smith exclusive, the Time Lord box set featuring the War Games, the 3 Doctors, and the Deadly Assassin. Exciting. The Resurrection of the Daleks had just come out on DVD. The BBC book at the time was The Infinity Race by Simon Messingham, featuring the 8th Doctor, Fitz and Angie. Bernie Summerfield and the Green-Eyed Monsters was out. Big Finish had released The Sandman, featuring the 6th Doctor and Evelyn, and the audio CD Paul McGann Talks Back, which my mum always told me not to do. Telos Publishing had just released Foreign Devils. The Savages soundtrack was out from the BBC. Real Time had just released Katie Manning's World Down Under, which is notable for you meeting her partner in it. Her partner at the time was the guy who sang the Neighbours theme tune.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yi Ji So's My Doctor Who Diary had also come out from Real Time. That's well worth a watch. And you'll think these releases sound familiar because also out was Test of Nerve, the Sarah Jane Smith audio, which we previously covered with our sister Maisie.
We tested our nerve.
we did. As before, I'm not going to do a summary of the plot at the start. We're going to go through these releases. I'm going to drop bits of the plot in and we'll discuss the bits we want to discuss. So, Salaran Harju is an archaeologist searching the ruins and records of a galaxy that was devastated centuries ago. She is visited by a fleet of troopers led by Sai Tarkov. Salaran tells Tarkov of a great catastrophe. So once again, Nick Briggs uses a narrator. What do we think of this setup for the way of telling this story?
I like this because immediately things feel a bit more important and a bit more weighty, because the whole story is kind of told as though it's some historical event that's happened. I've never read War and Peace, but I think it's Nick Briggs trying to do a War and Peace moment in that he turns what is a sci-fi story into this kind of historical event, and it raises interesting ideas that we'll cover later. But I like it, besides the names being fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, well, they're space names, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's a functional recap of Series 1, but it does add an extra layer of drama to the story. Is there any sense that it's going anywhere other than the destruction of all humans and Daleks?
Well, it's hard to tell, because I remember this happening clearly, but there is a sense of foreboding. Does it establish how far it is after the events?
I can't remember, but hundreds, thousands of years? I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah, but it's kind of bleak in a fun way, you know?
Yeah.
Which is in at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And 20 years ago. Karlendorf is very much in bed with the alternate universe Daleks, now known as the Alliance Daleks, while Marina takes her ship away from the fleet and Albie is tracking down an Alliance cargo freighter. Do we like that they skip so much of the war? Would it have made for interesting listening?
Well, they kind of break up all the characters and plonk them down in different places, but they're not necessarily in more interesting situations. I mean, besides Karlendorf with the good Daleks, have we met the Mentor yet?
We have met the Mentor. We'll come to her in a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's actually 24 minutes until we hear like the usual Daleks, the bad Daleks. Do we miss them?
I don't know.
No. The answer to that is no. And I feel like, actually, much like the Time War and stuff like that, you don't want to hear too much of the Great Battle because it's actually rather dull.
Yeah.
It's things exploding and people going, we should put ships over there. No, put the ships over there. So I think the way this narrative works means you can just jump into the key bits of of what's going on in the war. It's
also one of the many points in this series that tries to be Blake 7, a bit like the end of Series 2 of Blake 7 when there's a big space war.
Yeah.
And then there's some shit model shots at the start of the next series, and then they just jump ahead to miss it, which is wise.
Very wise. Despite approaching ships that would outnumber his fleet, Carl chooses to stay and battle the enemy Daleks for as long as possible. His actions confuse the Mentor, the leader of the Alliance Daleks. Now, the Mentor is a female, which automatically gives her a different edge. Did you think that would be revealed to be Suze at some point?
Possibly. In my head they sound very, very similar. I mean, I like that the leader of the Daleks is the good Daleks is a woman, because it does give, and she's described as being a bit like a kind of weird alien angel.
Yeah.
So it does work as a contrast to our Daleks, and you get a great line, which is "Take us to your Mentor." Yeah,
very good. She's played by Hannah Smith, who also appears in the Cyberman series, plus The Dark Flame and Survival of the Fittest, and the Unbound release Exile. Marina discovers a wrecked cargo freighter which contains a pod she is looking for. She admits to Marber, her first officer, that she has secret orders. The pod contains Susan Mendez. Was there ever any doubt that Suze would be back?
No.
No. She was stunned and transmitted, which is very bad Wolf. Albie picks up a brief transmission and follows it, which takes him to a damaged space station of Alliance Dalek origin. The space station shows signs of a battle between both Dalek factions. He also meets a young woman named Morley there, the only survivor. Marana explains the history of the long and bloody war to Suze. Carl, Marana and Albie do not trust the Mentor. They have found evidence of several planets being decimated, but not by enemy Daleks. Do we think this reveal of the Alliance Daleks possibly being bad comes a bit too early?
Yes. I mean, it's about... I mean, the theme of the series is it better the devil you know? As in, who are they really safer with? Is it just fighting the enemy Daleks? Or is it better to have these new Daleks alongside them? It's probably revealed a bit too soon. But I like that as an idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's called Dalek War, so it does radically change the format of the series from the first series.
Absolutely. And I think we're in a world where Big Finish release things again, like, you know, they are telling so many stories all the time, and it does feel a bit sometimes like they're just prolonging the series, but there's a real effort here to make this not just a continuation of the story, but something different and meatier and better. And I love this description of, Carl calls it a more benign dictatorship, and I just think that's, as you say, it's the better the devil you know scenario. It's also revealed that the Emperor Dalek still exists inside Suze's mind. So, when Marana rendezvous with Albie, the airlock opens to reveal Albie, Morley, and some enemy Daleks who demand Suze's surrender. How would you rate this as an opening to the series?
There's some interesting new ideas, but I think a lot of the episode is just playing catch up, because it just disperses the characters into lots of different places and times. And so you're constantly just waiting for them to get back into the room together. Yeah. There's still a lot of unanswered questions in terms of... I still don't buy whether I'm rooting for Suze and Albie. Yeah.
We'll come to that a bit more in the next episode, because that's when they're reunited, along with some very audible kissing. I like it, but it does feel a lot like it's still working in that old Doctor Who mould a little bit, where... this is an episode 1 setup, and episode 1 is an hour long rather than 30 minutes. Everything that happens in this now, if you were telling this story, would happen in 15 minutes. Maybe not from Big Finish, but if you were telling it on television. But it's an exciting start to the series, I think. And certainly, I said last time that a lot of the stuff I remember about Dalek Empire wasn't in the first series. And there's some moments in this series as a whole that I really remember thinking, fucking hell, that's the most exciting thing ever when I was a kid. Which we'll come to in a bit, but a good first opening, I think. Yeah. Too hot for TV. So, episode 2, or part 2, or series 2, chapter 2, was released in February 2003. It was announced that the BBC had won the patent to the police box from the London Metropolitan Police, which went to the courts. But, you know, makes sense. The News of the World was reporting that Timothy Spall would play the Doctor in a series set to be broadcast for the 40th anniversary, which obviously never happened. Dennis Fisher, the man who invented the spirograph and those Doctor Who dollies that had like the Cyberman with a nose, had just died. The comic strip was still Oblivion. The Mutants was on VHS. Big Finish had released The Church and the Crown with the 5th Doctor, Perry and Eremen. BBC Books had released Heritage with the 7th Doctor and Ace. BBV, The Quality of Mercy. Big Finish Talks Back, the 8th Doctor authors. Sarah Jane Smith, Ghost Town. Those were the releases at the time. Any of those stick out and tickle your tits?
The only thing from that I remember is The Mutants, which was a late Pertwee that I'd never seen, and it was very trippy. Yeah. Like, I liked it. It was one of those stories that was very greasy. Everything's really greasy in it, you know, and shiny, like, because they're all a bit, like, I don't know, like, everything's a bit shiny and, like, made of acrylic and leather, and all the skin looks a bit like...
Everyone looks clammy, like it was a very hot summer and they spent the night before in the bar before recording anything.
Yes,
you know, it looks clammy in a way sort of mid-season Tom Baker does, and you go, well, that's because he's pissed. But you don't get that as the reputation of the Pertwee era, do you?
Yeah, like, you want to, like, wipe everyone's brow. That's what, that's my hot take.
Yeah. The Mutants is one of those stories that I dig out every now and then because I just don't remember it. Because, you know, like, Day of the Daleks we had on VHS probably since before you were born. So you just know what happens in Day of the Daleks. But every time I put the Mutants on, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this.
And John Pertwee's like hair never looks like that again. Yeah. Like he's had it straightened or something, and it's just little things like that it's just like science fiction will never look like that again.
Well, I don't know. I'm looking at the new era of Doctor Who and going, that does look quite 70s. Yeah. Certainly that level of colour and camp. Yeah. So, knowing the Daleks want the remnants of the Emperor stored in Suze's head, Suze threatens to kill herself to stop the Daleks killing Albie, Marana and Morley, and so an agreement is reached with the enemy Daleks. What do we think of this moment where Albie and Suze are together and alone, sort of alone, Morley's there for the first time?
It hasn't sorted out what's going on, whether it's a big love story or whether they're just kind of kidding themselves and they barely know each other. and that still never ever gets resolved. But on top of that, it introduces this new plotline that the Emperor's in Suze's head, and it's never really played that we can't trust Suze because of that. That's never played for anything. And she says specifically, "I'm not being controlled. I'm just a vessel he's used to upload his consciousness to." That's the actual line. And so it's like, okay, well, that's not interesting. But even if that was the case, they don't seem to be in love enough for that to be dramatic, that she might be evil. So, that's the biggest flaw in both of these series, that it never quite gets right.
We also get the character Morley shouting, "Albie loves Suze," like we're in school. And I know the character's sort of a simpleton, but even so. Yeah,
she goes, well, he loves her. And because this is how Nick Briggs kind of writes as an audio director and producer, in that his idea of characterization is to give someone an accent rather than to actually like develop them. And there's loads of... For what is quite a serious series, that's quite, it takes itself quite seriously, the only humour comes from basically people with regional accents making comments. So you get things like, "What is it? It's the Emperor of the bloody Daleks, that's what it is." And like, "Looks like our Daleks were given a right good all going over." Yeah, and they get to call the Daleks bastards.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't say bastards in Doctor Who.
They don't.
Like, you bastards.
Yeah, that's quite nice. I saw Patrick Troughton in an adaptation of Wuthering Heights last year, and he said the word slut, and I was like, "No, Patrick Troughton say slut before?"
I mean, he probably said that in the hotel room just when he died. You can cut that out.
I'm not cutting that out. With the enemy Daleks realising they are losing, they link their reactors together and destroy themselves and 25% of the Alliance ships. While Carl tries to discuss battle tactics with the Mentor, she is more interested in the cargo freighter the Defiant has picked up. Is there more to be done on TV with good Daleks?
Yes. Next question. How many good Daleks have we had? We've had one in Into the Dalek.
Yeah.
We've had one in
Power of the Doctor.
And that was tricking. That was like a ruse.
No, it wasn't, because they destroy it. Remember, it's.
Oh yeah. Oh, so it's a genuine one. There's one in Victory of the Daleks, but that's a lie.
Yeah.
What's the one in the library in Twice Upon a Time? Is that good, or is that just?
That's Rusty from.
That's the same Dalek.
It was that sort of thing that came back that you're like, no one ever expected that.
Yeah.
What we need is a faithful TV adaptation of Children of the Revolution.
Yes.
That's the good Dalek story to tell.
Yeah, that's a great story.
And with the Star Beast coming, who knows what else we could get. While the enemy Daleks manipulate Suze using hope, they take the Defiant towards Earth, where Albie thinks the Daleks are keeping the shell of the Emperor, whose signal he had previously followed and ended up finding the ruined space station that Morley was on. He also found the Emperor's shell, but it turned out to be a hologram. The Daleks set this trap for Albie and used Morley as a hostage to ensure Albie's cooperation.
That was quite atmospheric, that moment.
Yeah.
As in characters. It's a bit like Alien in that they're kind of infiltrating these abandoned ships and they're kind of catching up with what the Daleks have done.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really happen like in Doctor Who, where there's the Daleks have been somewhere and they're trying to figure out what they've done.
Yeah.
And finding the casing of the Emperor as well. It does feel alien.
It was a hologram.
It does feel atmospheric and quite tense.
The Daleks in this season particularly genuinely feel like these great manipulators that are one step ahead of humanity. They feel like a threat in that respect that I don't know whether you ever really get it on TV.
Yeah.
Like occasional bits of it, but it's like, oh, these Daleks are smart, and this is the reason they managed to conquer the galaxy.
Well, I guess in the series, the Daleks are defined by what they're doing on screen, whereas in this, there's so much of it where the action's defined by the Daleks not being there, but influencing events.
Yeah. Would this story be as good if it was told in a linear fashion?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think it would be a more straightforward action story. I think a lot of the twists and turns and sort of surprises are based on the fact that they're not giving you all the information straight away because the story's told out of order.
Yeah, and also by displacing lots of events, it means that they don't have to deal with Albie and Suze being together that much.
Yeah,
so,
which is the least successful part of the story.
Yeah.
Maybe Briggs knows that, who knows?
Yeah.
Morley is very much like a child, and her actions suggest she's been brainwashed by the Alliance Daleks. So Morley is played by Danielle Carr. What do we think of her performance? This is a sensitive one.
Well, she's fun. I mean, I feel like she's more come from like a night out in Newcastle. But
it's no Daft Jamie, is it?
No, but I think the series is quite dark and serious that I can see why a character like that is needed.
Yeah.
But I do like the insinuations as to what's happening with her. I think at first you're just like, oh, this is just, here comes some comic relief.
Yeah.
But the twists that come from what she actually is quite interesting.
I think you're right. It's also the sort of character I can imagine Doctor Who fans hating at the time.
Yeah.
Because Doctor Who fans of that era seem to hate comedy relief in any way, shape or form. Which obviously, now you've got to get used to it because it's in everything. As the Alliance reaches Earth, they discover enemy Daleks have terraformed Jupiter. Carl suggests a risky plan where half of the fleet stay in orbit of Jupiter while the other half head down to refuel. While the Mentor thinks it could be a trap, she recognises that the troops need some downtime before they enter the battle. Now, we'll come to what's on that planet in the next episode. But does this feel bigger in scale at this point?
Yes, yeah.
I think the sound design has jumped up another level.
Yeah.
And we're getting towards that Zagreus era where the sound design really becomes next level. But it feels like a huge story with fleets and stuff. Like in the first one, you heard about fleets, but all there ever was Nick Briggs and some people stomping around.
Yeah.
But the sound design really, really sells it, I think. A battle breaks out on the Defiant. Many of the crew are killed. Marana and Marba escape, but Suze, Morley and Albie are recaptured. The Daleks scan Suze's mind for traces of the Emperor, and it awakens the Emperor once more. It's a good ending to the episode, that.
Doesn't it end with them going, like, we are entering your mind? Like, it's really trippy, and they say it again and again, and it's just like, fucking hell, mate.
This is one of the things I remember. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's trippy, as you say, and Suze meets the Emperor inside her mind. And it has something you don't hear a lot in Doctor Who. You hear a man screaming into the title music, which is Albie.
Nicky Briggy.
Yeah. But
insane, terrifying stuff.
Too hot for TV.
So, the third one was out in March of 2003, where Big Finish announced their Unbound range, which we've covered a couple of on the podcast. Great news, The Stranger was to be released on DVD for the first time. BBCI was putting up the book of The Well-Mannered War online for all to read, and Warsmith, a Doctor Who play, was reviewed, which had just been done in Portsmouth. Out on DVD was The Seeds of Death. On audio, we had Bang Bang a Boom with the Seventh Doctor and Mel, Rutan in Two Minds from BBV, which we covered before. The Space Pirate soundtrack was released from BBC Audio. Sarah Jane Smith, Mirror Signal Maneuver, and the comic strip was still Oblivion. While the fleet refuels, Carl checks on the progress of the Defiant. The suspicious Mentor orders an investigation into Carl's activities. On the recently terraformed Jupiter, patrols start to go missing. Upon investigation, it is revealed that the troopers have been turned into Varga plants. Unsurprisingly, it was a trap after all. Now, first of all, is it too obvious a trap?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work for me. But fucking Varga plants.
Yes.
As I was talking about moments that I really stuck in my mind from a first listen many years ago, it was the Varga plants.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, it's like one of those punch the air moments where they make a shitty 60s monster actually kind of repurposed and terrifying.
Yes.
And they get through like half of the fucking troopers down there.
Yeah, it's great.
It's such a good use of the Varga plants. More Vargas, please.
Yeah.
On the Defiant, Morley, Albie and Suze have been locked up, and when Suze awakes back to her normal self, the Daleks, having only wanted to test that the Emperor had been successfully stored there, Suze reveals the reason the Emperor chose Suze as a vessel is she knew Albie's love for her would mean she would always be found. Now, again, our main problem with this seems to be that we don't buy the love story.
Yeah.
So, is that a clever plot point, or is it too convoluted?
It would make sense if they were better written as a couple, because obviously they've been they know everything about Suze. She's like their lab rat, so that it would be believable that they would know that, but we haven't seen the evidence for whether they were ever in love. So it's got potential.
It's got potential.
Yeah.
With Marana and Maber adrift in their escape pod and air running out, Marba asks Marina what Carl's plan is. She said she'd asked not to be told in case she was captured and interrogated, but her biggest fear is that Carl would switch sides. What do we think of sort of Carl and Dorf's motives here and this whole switching side thing?
This is the most interesting characterisation in the series, I think, because you can believe that Carl and Dorf would betray them. And he's basically playing an Avon figure.
Yeah. And
I think it works because, you know, he's the one more willing than anybody else to end the war through whatever means, because he's a warrior and everyone else is kind of subservient to his actions. So yeah. I think it works.
For me, he's got the best sort of character arc throughout the whole thing. And it's weird because, weirdly, his character arc is just him remembering who he was. But he's always got this fight. And in many ways, he's a very two-dimensional character. But his story is just from sort of unwilling warrior who was kicked out the Knights of Alicia, I think, to this great warrior, to literally the destroyer of worlds. I think is great. And he's just, as you say, he's a warrior, but he's a likeable character as well. And he's someone with morals and ethics. So the idea that he eventually becomes this almost like he's responsible for the genocide, essentially, I think is a good one. On Jupiter, half the fleet have been turned into Varga plants. Carl starts giving orders to deal with the issue, but the Mentor relieves him of command. The Mentor realises that not only is Carl looking for Suze, but may be in league with the enemy Daleks who attack the lab where Morley was being treated. In the midst of a Varga attack, Carl escapes the Alliance Daleks and the Supreme Dalek orders the destruction of the fleet. I love how weirdly human and emotional the Mentor is, because I think people sometimes think that the Daleks are devoid of all emotion, which is not that. That's the side of them. It's just anger and hatred that I think they leave there. And I think it's something Stephen Moffat explores a lot in that...
The Witch is Familiar.
And The Witch is Familiar. You know, you sort of get into that a little bit and you go, oh, someone's given the Daleks a bit of reason behind what they're doing. And then you get it here because these alt universe Daleks they're calmer in a way and they are seen as peacekeepers. And it's almost, to use a stereotype, it's almost because instead of being led by someone like Davros, they're led by, it's a more feminine energy. That they do feel like this calming influence, even though they're still murdering little fuckheads. That's the name of the episode. Meanwhile, Morley attacks Suze, her brainwashing convincing her that Suze had the right idea of death all along and the Emperor must be destroyed. She has superhuman strength and Albie is no match for her, but the enemy Daleks realise what is happening and kill Morley. Are we sad to see her go?
No. But the twist that she is basically like a sleeper agent that can attack at any moment is good because it embodies what the alternative Daleks are, in that they have this presentable kind of human face but are just as ruthless as our Daleks are. Yeah.
It's their version of sort of robotisation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, they don't need to turn people into drones, into like walking zombies. They just need to be able to control them and to put their way of thinking on them. And she's a bit of a plot point more than anything else. Where's her box set though, Big Finish, eh? Where's the Morley Chronicles?
Yeah, well, there's the Morley College in London, which is quite odd.
Named after her?
Yeah.
As we all know. Albie and Suze are taken to the bridge where they learn of the destruction of the fleet. Carl docks with them with more Alliance ships on the way. Carl tells the enemy Daleks to leave, and to Albie and Suze's surprise, they do what he says. When Suze links minds with Carl, she is shocked at what he has done. Carl tells her he has had an agreement with the enemy Daleks and Suze is to make a transmission via them, saying they have brought the Angel of Mercy back to life. Albie is convinced Carl has brainwashed her, and as Carl moves towards the communications control, a shot rings out. It's all heating up, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Great cliffhanger.
Yes.
Big fan. Whatever's going to happen next, Jack.
They're all going to be fine.
Yeah. Exactly.
Too hot for TV.
Part 4 was released in April of 2004. It was announced that Taron Capel, or as this typo says here, Warren Capel, his brother, was to return in the Caldor City range. Real Time announced they were releasing the Mythmakers on digital versatile disc. Doctor Who, on the other hand, was now being released in a range of MP3 CDs, which means the old soundtracks would be in higher quality. Cyril Chaps had just died, Meglos was on VHS, Jubilee was released with the Sixth Doctor and Evelyn, and the Past Doctor Adventure book was Fear of the Dark with the Fifth Doctor, Tegan and Nyssa. Any thoughts?
Jubilee, that's a fucking dark story.
I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah, where they chop off a little person's arm to fit him in a Dalek.
Really?
Yeah, and the Doctor's got his legs amputated and is kept in the tower. It's probably the darkest Doctor Who story that there's been.
Do you know what? I've always kind of steered away from doing the big hitters of the early Big Finish range, but I remember so little about that. I think I might want to do that at some point.
Yeah, I think even Rob Shearman isn't quite sure whether it's good or not because it's so dark. And he runs with an idea, but I think he doesn't know whether he took it a bit too far with that story. But it was powerful.
Yeah, what a belter.
Traumatic.
Do you remember, what was this first one called?
The Holy Terror.
The Holy Terror. Do you remember when that came out and everybody hated it?
I didn't get that. Because I wasn't aware of fan opinion on Big Finish. At the start, I just listened to them and wasn't aware of any reviews or because I wasn't on forums or anything. I was just enjoying the stories. So, I just enjoyed listening to those in a bubble.
I remember listening to that in your bedroom at our mother's house while I was playing Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive. What a time to be alive, eh?
Yeah, we should get that game and reenact that. We should play Sonic and listen to shit and
live stream it.
Yeah, and we'll get a therapist in as well.
Great. It's going to be it's going to be on the Too Hot for TV Twitch account.
Fucking hell, and we'll just eat like Tangy Toms and drink Coke.
Sounds wonderful. In the far future, Tarkov reveals to Salaran that the Galactic Union picked up a transmission from outside the galaxy, transmitted via a freak wormhole. Partial decoding has led them to identifying an alloy that matches the artifacts that Salaran has been digging up. Tarkov unfortunately made a nuisance of himself, so they sent him here, but he is still determined to make the Galactic Council listen when he has conclusive proof of a threat. Salaran has been absorbing Karlendorf's memories of the past from sleeping in his tomb and creating records of the war and the Great Catastrophe. Salaran tells Tarkov of the Dalek War, building up to Karl's betrayal of the Mentor and the confrontation with Albie on the Bridge of the Defiant. Is this a bit clunky, just absorbing Karlendorf's thoughts through psychic mumbo-jumbo?
Maybe, I don't know. It's any old shit will do. I mean, I like there's a nice atmosphere to these scenes of everybody feels a bit there's a sense of everything feeling a bit helpless in the history. These events are historical events, and so all of the kind of the agency of the characters from the first series goes as they. It's almost like history itself is the antagonist rather than the Daleks or anything else.
And this is where Karlendorf's reputation is it's the lasting resting place of the great and terrible Karlendorf.
Yeah.
Which I think is, his, as I was saying before about his character development, I think it's quite interesting that he's almost seen as a monster because he's just done so much to the galaxy. On the Defiant, Albie tries to shoot Karlendorf before he can turn the fleet against the Mentor's Daleks. Suze knows the transmission must be made, so she shoots and kills Albie before he can kill Karlendorf. Suze tells the galaxy the Angel of Mercy has returned. I mean, that's quite a hell of a twist. I guess it's not helped by the fact we don't quite buy their relationship.
We don't, because, again, it's trying to do a Blake 7. It's trying to do Avon shooting Blake in a horrible mistake. But surely you just shoot someone in the leg.
Yeah.
Or you use like a stun gun or something. So it's just, because we don't buy that they're in love,
you can't
it's not
shoot
heartbreaking.
Albie in the leg because he's got fake legs, remember?
Fuck up his fake legs.
Yeah, it's a great moment of drama within this series, but it does fall apart a bit if you don't quite believe their relationship.
Yeah.
Was the only way for victory for Karlendorf to side with the bad Daleks?
Yes, yeah. It feels like a desperate solution
Yeah.
to what has been like a universe-ending problem. So I think that's effective. And I'd love to see that happen in Doctor Who.
I was just going to say that. I'm surprised there's never been a sort of finale where they've faced a threat so big, the only thing the Doctor can do is side with the Daleks.
Yeah, that would be great.
If you're listening, Russell T Davies, I'm sure you're short of ideas. This is the beginning of a huge war. The Mentor accelerates her plans for brain conversion, while Karlendorf leads a battle against her forces. The Dalek Supreme demands Suze to be handed over as a hostage. The extraction of the Emperor's mind from her body could take place anywhere, but the Supreme Dalek says it must happen on Earth. The war drags on for years. Karl takes huge risks. On the planet Micros 5, Karlendorf finds himself alone on a battlefield with a dying Alliance Dalek, which demands to know why he turns Suze over to the Dalek Supreme. Realising that the Mentor is listening, he tears the Dalek creature from its casing and speaks to it warrior to warrior. Karlendorf tells it the story of the Knight of Valencia named Sancroft, who somehow convinced those that betrayed him to kill himself. Now this is one of those scenes that stuck in my mind from my first listen.
Yeah.
What do you think of this confrontation of Karlendorf, who's clearly losing his shit at this point?
Yes, it's great. I remember this scene from the first time. It really stood out. And this leads into what you were saying about how the sound design is really epic. And obviously we make fun a lot of Big Finish now because the marketing behind it is so obvious as, you know, as a service to fans. And they make so much product. But you have to remember that prior to this, the Daleks were made of wood. As in, on TV, they were wooden props with plastic spaceships. And what Big Finish did is they really redesigned everything in the show and reimagined it through sound. So when he opens the Dalek and actually, you know, there's the sound of like metal being torn open and the sound of like liquid bubbling inside where the Khalid creature is, that's a huge step forward in terms of how we envision what the Daleks are. Yeah. Because before that, it was like some stunt explosions and some wood. Yeah. And Russell T Davies was on record saying that he listened to this. So I don't see how you could have the new series Daleks without this.
Absolutely. I think it's this and the Apocalypse element. I remember listening to the Apocalypse element when it came out and thinking the Daleks were truly terrifying. Yeah. And I think you're right. It does go a long way for sort of the reinvention of the Daleks within the mind of fandom, I guess you'd say.
What Big Finish did is they imagined what a big budget Doctor Who would sound like. So it wasn't just Doctor Who without the pictures. It was a total reinvention. And now, obviously, they are playing second fiddle to the fact that Doctor Who can afford to be epic. Yeah. And has shown all of these different vistas and these different props and designs. So that now it is more like Doctor Who just without the pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Which, exactly. So it doesn't have like a niche that it once had. I mean, it has a lot of other niches, but the less said about those, the better. Karl picks up a signal from a long-lost Defiant escape pod, which he insists on investigating. As he approaches the pod, it phases out of existence momentarily. Karl docks with the pod and finds it's a Mentor ship in disguise, with it also being an extension of the dimensional gateway, and he is now in the Mentor's universe. Marana is long dead, and the Mentor simply wants to know why Karl turned against her. She offers him an alliance once more, and he refuses, so the Mentor Daleks withdraw from the universe. This is a change of pace, isn't it? Yeah. Like, you're expecting a big final battle, and you get this quite quiet conversational moment.
Yes, yeah.
Do we think it's a quick fix, or do we like it as a twist?
I like it. I don't... The argument as to why they leave is still lost on me, and I re-listened to it, and I didn't quite get why they went, but I liked how it sounded. Yeah. As a really unusual way for it to end.
I also like that Karlendorf still briefly had this hope that somehow Marana would be alive, and even when he got in there, I thought, I know there's a twist coming. maybe she's still alive.
Yeah.
Which I think is, and perhaps Carl needed that one little bit of hope that his friend and ally might still be alive. But as you say, it's not. I think it just shows that these Daleks are smarter, and actually, while they want to be in control, they don't want to be at war, and they're just like, you guys are fucking mental. You're all going to destroy yourselves anyway. We don't want a part of this. And I think that shows the core difference between those two groups of Daleks. The universe is briefly at peace. Karlendorf pilots a ship to Earth and contacts the Dalek Supreme. He demands to see Suze, but rather than extracting the Emperor's mind from Suze's body, the Emperor has erased all traces of Suze and stayed in her body. The Emperor will address the universe as the Angel of Mercy and promise peace until the Alliance drops its guard. What do we think of Emperor Suze?
She's a good villain, and she is really channeling the Emperor from Star Wars. Like she's shooting like extermination bolts.
Yeah.
And it's a really good bit of sound design.
And she tortures Carl, doesn't she? And I love the interaction between her and Carl in this new form where he's teasing this Emperor, sort of going, well, maybe I do have a plan, maybe I don't have a plan.
Yeah, it's quite an epic ending.
It is. It's pretty massive. So Carl makes telepathic contact with the remnants of Suze in the Emperor's mind and reminds her of Scanroff's strategy. The reason the traitors killed themselves was because Scanroff planted a destructive impulse in their minds. Karlendorf now triggers an impulse he planted in Suze's mind. Suze sends out a destructive impulse through the Daleks' network, and every single Dalek connected to it is destroyed. This was the Great Catastrophe. Is it a satisfactory resolution?
I like it. It feels big, and it feels like it has consequences, and it really feels like the last desperate end to a very epic story. So it doesn't feel like a reset at all.
It feels like what you hope the end of the Day of the Doctor would be, but actually it's just a bunch of ships around one planet. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That you believe that these Daleks are all over the universe, so everywhere they are and they destroy themselves, there would be mass destruction. Saralan's people have managed to unscramble the transmission, which is proof that the Daleks have re-entered the galaxy. Tarkov returns to Earth to warn them, but Sarlon chooses to remain behind, setting up another series of Dalek Empire. So, how do we feel about Dalek Empire Series 2? Are you satisfied by the end of it?
Yeah. I'm eager to see the next series. I mean, that we've lost all of the characters that we were used to, but it means their stories are done, even if some of them weren't really developed or that interestingly. But the idea of a Dalek invasion on an epic scale that is then defeated is pretty well done.
It is. Who's your favourite character in these first two series?
Karlendorf.
Yeah, mine too. I was at one point thinking of adding on to this episode there's that 7th Doctor subscriber only thing released where Carl and Seven meet. Yeah. I'd be quite interested in listening to that. So, you've done 2 series of it now. Do you want to hear the third one?
Partly yes, because it's an interesting premise to have to frame, to essentially make a smaller scale follow-up after having these devastating consequences to a big epic story, to then bring back the villain but on a smaller scale is interesting and quite a clever way to do it. Rather than go bigger, they go smaller.
Yeah.
So that intrigues me, and I have good memories of that series.
Yeah, me too. And it features a little-known actor called David Tennant.
Oh, cool.
Remember him? Well, maybe we'll do that at some point, but it won't be the next thing we do together, I don't think.
No.
So is it a clanger, a banger, or an average meander?
I think it's a banger, because there's a lot of bangs.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is a banger. I enjoyed this series more than the first one.
Yeah, definitely.
And I do want to do Series 3 at some point. So this is the end of this series of Doctor Who 2 Hot for TV. Going to take a little break over the summer to go on holiday and all that other jazz.
Will you come back?
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. And there's lots of exciting stuff planned for the next series. But what are your hopes for this year and Doctor Who's 60th anniversary?
Ooh. I am perfectly happy to just see an adaptation of The Star Beast.
Me too.
Like a good version of that. Like I have no expectations in terms of returning Doctors or anything like that, because partly I don't care, because we've already had the old Doctors come back.
Yeah.
That's great. Shooty's new era interests me more than any anniversary things that are thrown into these Tennant specials.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see David Tennant, I'm happy to see Donna, but even just 3 very average runarounds with them would be fine.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be this huge multi-doctor stuff. I suspect, if I had to take a guess, that when Russell T Davies knew he was coming back, he probably said, obviously the biggest thing I could do would be all the new series Doctors together. How likely is this? Not very likely, due to my relationship with Christopher Eccleston and the BBC's relationship with Peter Capaldi, who said he never wants to come back. Peter Capaldi was treated quite badly by the BBC, by all accounts. Not by Stephen Moffat.
I didn't hear this.
Well, the rumour is that after Series 9, he although there was an option on his contract, the BBC weren't going to exercise it.
Yeah.
And they were it was going to finish with Husbands of Riversong, him in the sunset.
Yeah.
No regeneration. And then they wanted a reboot. Because Chris Chibnall wasn't available, all of a sudden they re-exercise his contract and he is brought back kind of under duress to do that final season. And during that time, they'd also asked other writers if they wanted to do a one-off season with a one-off Doctor and stuff. So the BBC felt like the Capaldi era wasn't working, so whatever.
Yeah.
Could all be bollocks, but he's definitely said he doesn't feel like returning, and that's sort of the implications I've heard from some people that might know.
Can someone please publish Doctor Who, The Goss, of just all of the shit that went into making the new series?
Yeah.
Because I so want to read about that.
I mean, we're still probably 15 years off getting something like that. So, very excited to see what happens over the coming months and years with Doctor Who. Do you want to do what we did before? 3 predictions of the 60th anniversary.
Okay. Shooty Gatwa will turn up in the first episode, the Star Beast.
Yeah.
The Toy Maker will turn up in the first episode. And I think the David Tennant Doctor, he might take his own life rather than be defeated. I think it will be his choice to regenerate. Yeah. So it will almost be like
I do want to go.
Yes.
That's what he's going to say, something like that.
Yeah. I want to have a right old go. I think it'll be... I don't think he wants to remain as the 14th Doctor. I think it's an aberration. Yeah.
My predictions are Matt Smith shows up, but in a tiny cameo, not as a...
What, as like a little person?
Miniature Matt.
Yeah.
Like he's involved in one of the stories, but like he's done a day or two's filming tops, something like that. You know?
It could be like a Toy Maker doll of all the Doctors, and one of them comes alive for a bit, and that's it.
I think Shooty Gatwa will play quite a large part in the story without having filmed much, if that makes like the impetus there. And I think Donna remains with her memories back. So, next season on Too Hot for TV. It'll be towards the end of the summer. I've got a lot of guests coming back, some new ones. Jack, you'll probably be back as well. Some things to look forward to. We're doing the Past Doctor Adventure Combat Rock, the 8th Doctor story, The Tomorrow Windows, the new adventure All-Consuming Fire, BBV's The Choice, a Gallifrey audio, the 9th Doctor story, The Ravagers, the comic strip The Star Beast, and the comic strip Tides of Time, amongst many others. And you'll be back. The first thing we're going to do is what?
Bernie Summerfield Series 3.
Exciting. Never heard it. So I'm looking forward to it. But yes, as I said, we'll be back near the end of the summer. But until then, I've been Dylan.
I've been Jack.
And this has been Doctor Who, Too Hot for TV.
Too hot for TV.
I've never wed.
You've never wed. He's unmarried.
I've never wed. I've never read War and Peace, but I think it's Nick Briggs trying to do a War and Peace moment in that he turns